Something just feels different about this year, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes into the schedule. And it's a good different. It really is. Because I know that when this all gets released, there's things that we see about our said schedule that in an ideal world, we were to wish, excuse me, I'm overhearing myself on the replay. Bear with me. That we likely want to avoid, right? Gauntlets, for example, um, a terrible bye week, etc. But I feel like out of everything that we wished from this 2025 Buffalo Bills schedule, we all ended up getting our wishes answered, our wishes granted, rather. Again, I am thrilled about this. I slept on it. I'm so excited for this upcoming season because when I look at this schedule, ladies and gentlemen, I literally see the perfect path to the 1 seed. There is not a single gauntlet on this schedule. There is not 3 or 4 back to back to back to back games that we see. All of our scary opponents, if you will, are spread across our schedule, where right after we end up having a what is likely going to be considered an absolute bloodbath, like, say, for example, the Baltimore Ravens. The next scary game we have is not until the Kansas City Chiefs. And then after the Kansas City Chiefs, the next scary game we have is the Cincinnati Bengals. The next scary game after that is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles just weeks later. And get this, all of them are at home from a time where Buffalo is coming off of a 2024 season where we were lights out at home, where we blew out all but one of our opponents. It's perfect. And I'm not going to be a conspiracy theorist here, but from an outsider looking in, say for example, I'm a big Bills hater or something, and I'm right of the belief, oh, and so the NFL is holding the hands of the Buffalo Bills and they want to give them preferential treatment because it's going to be the last season at the Ralph. I mean, damn. It's kind of hard to make an argument against it because the schedule is absolutely beautiful. And I am excited to unpack this and give you a good understanding and almost a way too early final record prediction. It's going to take me a little bit. I'll probably do this again once we end up getting about a couple of days away from week 1. But damn, a lot to get excited about, folks. Guys, welcome to another edition of Don Mafia Live, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. EST. I break down every single trending topic surrounding our beloved Buffalo Bills and all things that happen across the NFL. If, for example, that you make this a part of your daily routine, and I know a lot of you do, I see a lot of familiar faces in the live chat already, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up sign. It helps propel this out to the YouTube algorithm so more people are able to discover this channel and be a part of the conversation. I spend the first 15 to 20 minutes discussing the topic at hand, and then for the remainder of the show, I end up transitioning exclusively over to the live Q&A audience where they get to take control of the conversation. So smash that like button, get ready to go into it, and let's take a look at this schedule together. All right, starting off, baby, week 1, Baltimore Ravens. Look, like this is going to be a divisional matchup, a divisional playoff rematch. As we know, the Baltimore Ravens for the past couple of years in the regular season, especially last year, blew the brakes off of us. And I feel like we have a lot of conversations about the Baltimore Ravens, and a lot of people are scared and they think that it is going to be the exact same thing that happened last year during the regular season. And many people wanted to avoid playing them for the first game of the year. I would probably have to disagree with you guys. I am fine with having one of the juggernaut ops rolling into Buffalo for week 1 for a variety of reasons, because I'm seeing several differences, especially compared to last year. Number one, they are getting the Buffalo Bills at a fully healthy roster. Okay, fully healthy. Last year, when we went into Baltimore, folks, we were out half of our defense, particularly in the secondary. Also, with our linebacker core was hurt. We had Khalil Shakir go down halfway through the game, and we were going into that game absolutely limping. This year, I love the advantage that we are going to be at a full bill of health, at least, of course, reasonably. Number 2, we are at home. And number 3, this is week one. A lot of the times you see some of these quality teams struggle because they're knocking the rust off. It is their first really experience of actual regular season NFL football. So I'm solid with this. And folks, look, I know that the game is still a couple of months away, but I'm feeling really good about this. And so I probably have the Buffalo Bills winning a close one on this one. I do. Starting off 1-0. And that's not even half of the reason why I'm really excited about this as well, because then you ultimately end up going into a stretch where I genuinely believe, and I'm willing to put a considerable amount of money on this, that Buffalo is going to go and start the season 6-0 before the bye. Like, look at all of the teams on paper that we are playing after Baltimore, right? We have the New York Jets, Miami, New Orleans, New England, and Atlanta. For some reason, I've been seeing a lot of people pinning the Bills with a loss against Atlanta, which doesn't quite make sense to me. I mean, maybe it's because it's Monday Night Football, for example. It's away, and we're coming off of an absolute tear or something along those lines. But I'm feeling really good about the first 6 games. I really, really am. And then followed by Carolina, have Kansas City, Miami, Tampa Bay, Houston, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Like, guys, like, I'm looking at this schedule right now. And look, I absolutely acknowledge that there are going to be particular games where maybe Buffalo shows up and they're not the normal Buffalo Bills, right? But it's hard for me to look at this schedule and not see that this team could very well go 15-2. Could very well go 15-2 based off of how this schedule is structured. Yes, I think if we had to nitpick and get somewhat critical of how this was all put together, maybe I could say I wish the bye week was a bit later. But then when you dissect the schedule a bit further, you understand that we technically have a mini bye again, right in between Houston and Pittsburgh. 10 days rest after all of this is being put into consideration. And we have the exact same thing from Miami all the way down to New Orleans. So we have a lot of benefits and basically one real bye and then 2 mini buys across this schedule in and of itself. I'm really liking that. Like, I'm not seeing many games where we would be at a disadvantage as far as rest is concerned. Yes, we have a Monday Night Football game, but guess what, folks? We have the bye the following week as well. So with all of our Thursday night matchups solidified, the NFL ended up blessing us with 2 mini buys on top of the regular bye that we have in week 7. It's working out perfectly. And then after that quote unquote mini bye, right? That's when you get into December. That's when you get into December, where Buffalo is 22-1 in the month of December, which is an insane stat the more and more that you think about it. Like, we end up going crazy in the month of December. And this, as long as this Buffalo Bills team stays healthy, if the Buffalo Bills stay healthy, folks, this is a 15-2 schedule. And one other thing I think that really frustrates me, or not necessarily frustrates me, but it annoys me. Like, when I go through and I start reading quite a bit of like record predictions or schedule predictions, and a very common and quote unquote safe prediction is to say, oh yeah, and so the Buffalo Bills are going 13-4, and we're going to lose to Baltimore, we're going to lose to Cincinnati, Kansas City, and Philadelphia. It happens each and every single time. Like, you're going to see people go out there and pick all of the quote unquote good teams, but then they always fail to acknowledge the fact that Buffalo always ends up, at least for the past couple of years, beating down teams that are considered upper echelon in the NFL. I think last year's perfect example was the Detroit Lions, right? Several of us, or myself included, when I said the Bills were going to beat the Detroit Lions at the beginning of the season, people were like, come on, man, I can't buy into that. What are you talking about? Like, don't look at these teams like Baltimore, Cincinnati, Philadelphia, and Kansas City as losses because you're afraid to get some sort of animosity on the internet. it's very reasonable to assume that Buffalo is always going to go out and bring their best game when they play this upper echelon talent. It's how it is. So I never buy into that. Oh, yeah, like all four of the good teams on our schedules, we're definitely losing those. Miss me with that. Miss me with that, because this team has proven otherwise over and over and over again. So I'm feeling really good about this schedule, folks. I really, really am. But now I think it's a really good time for us to ultimately end up getting into, of course, the Q&A segment. Guys, as a reminder, in order for me to have a quality experience for everybody that's listening to the replay of this episode and or anybody that's listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please label all of your submissions appropriately with either a Q dash for question or an S dash for statement, so I can easily pick out things that can make the show go a tad more smoothly. I'm very excited to unpack these, start loading up your questions, start loading up your statements. Let's get into it and smash that like button. Now, folks, I do need to give a giant announcement. Last night on the AFC East roundtable, we ultimately ended up announcing our list of events for the 2025 NFL season. And you asked, and we listened. All right. We are going to be coming to Buffalo, folks. The AFC East roundtable is coming to Buffalo for week 3, Bills versus Miami. I am currently in discussions right now with the Buffalo Bills so we can buy a bunch of group tickets. I'm also in discussions with a tailgate company so we could have a tailgate place that we can all meet and do a live show. I'm working on as many benefits as possible to make this event something that can really stand out to you guys. I have Zbot and Rico from Buffalo Fanatics joining us as well. Being able to hang out with all three of us, me, Richie, Colby, and TD Finstock for this Thursday night matchup. And I highly recommend, guys, that you go on ahead and reserve your spot today. Right now, we don't have the final price right now when it comes into what the entire package is going to entail. Based off of previous events, I can tell you it's likely going to be anywhere between $250 to $400. That's obviously going to include the ticket, same thing with the tailgate party, access to the live show, and then maybe some other benefits. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I want to make sure I have it finalized. However, if you want to reserve your spot right now, because say that this event goes as fast as we think that it is going to compared to the Jets event we did last year, it's very important to reserve your spot as soon as possible. Make a deposit today of over $100. How this all plays out is that we can go on ahead and reserve your name so we have a good idea of how many tickets we do need to secure from Buffalo. Say, for example, you want to hang out with me, Zbot, Rico, all the guys from the AFC East roundtable, hang out at the tailgate, do your thing. Go on ahead and reserve as many as you would like. It is $100 to reserve your spot. And then once we end up getting the tickets that we need, we will end up sending you over when it is due. I think it'll probably end up being due around August 1st. It just depends on when the final deposit for the Bills is due. But very important. Say, for example, that you're in the Buffalo area or planning on going to Bills and Miami. Highly recommend you go on ahead and reserve your spot today. All right. Shout out. I'm so excited to get up there in Buffalo and hang out with you guys and get even more details when it rolls into it. We have the AFC East roundtable. Look at that, man. They are coming into it. Let's lock in. All right, guys. Again, when it comes into it, do me a favor. List each and every single question with a Q and list each and every single statement with an S. And let's make it happen. And Beth came in and she was loving that take where she said, sounds about right to me. And Beth says, I was surprised we beat Detroit. Yeah, for sure. Like, that's why it's low-key annoying when I see people go out there and like make a schedule prediction for final record and they automatically put all of the good teams as losses. Like, each and every single year, this Buffalo Bills team, when you look at their schedule and you look at how many hard teams they play, they normally have a winning record against those teams. It's just more like mediocre or divisional opponents where like we end up biting into the bullet. Whether or not that like you guys see what's going on, but we will see. Oh my God. And the few tough teams you play are at home. If you beat the Ravens, Eagles, and Kansas City, you could run the table 14-3 at worst. I mean, yeah, dude, honestly, I'm looking at that schedule, and that's exactly what's standing out to me. Dan, which home game do you think would be the best to go to for the last year at the stadium? Well, Garth, I will tell you what, we are going to be at Buffalo, in Buffalo, for the AFC East roundtable event week 3 against the Dolphins Thursday Night Football. But say, for example, that you are looking for other options, I think Philadelphia would be cool. I think that a Bills-Chiefs matchup would also be cool as well. But damn, dude, listen, I feel like there would be nothing that would be worse. Let's talk about it. Dan, say that I get hit by a car. Who do I call? Friggin' Falco, dude. Thank you so much. Dude, honestly, if you get hit by a car, you better call William Mattar. All right? If you're hurt in a car, you better call William Mattar, #1 car accident attorney on the face of the planet, man. A proud partner of this channel since December, running all the way through December as well, all throughout the season, all right? I would never wish a car accident on anybody, but say that it does happen. It's imperative to have appropriate representation. William Mattar, 444-4444. Shout out to William Mattar. Thank you so much. Robert Kane has come in. Dan, are we getting a suite, and are we able to get on the field access? Robert, I got to tell you what, man, I am in the middle of conversations with my sales rep right now. I know that the New York Jets offered field access for a particular amount of tickets. This is my first time dealing with sales reps for group tickets in Buffalo, so I don't want to make any promises, but that is certainly my goal, Robert. I am trying to make sure that I could make this as beneficial as humanly possible. Suites, more than likely not, because what's different about Buffalo compared to what MetLife does, MetLife typically has 50 to 60 tickets right together, right? Last year when I tried doing this, they said that they didn't have 50 to 60 suites or people together, right? So say that happens again, what we're going to do is that we are going to have premium tickets, which is down in the lower bowl where likely me and all the guys are going to be. And then we're also going to have just other groups of tickets around the stadium. But the real experience, hopefully, is going to be right at the tailgate. And then hopefully I can finesse some way of making sure that we can get on the field. Say, for example, that I buy 75 tickets. I damn well hope that we could have a benefit like that, because I certainly think that that would be worth it, right? We have Carmen. Bills are going 14-3. I would absolutely love that. A lot of people are stuck in the past with Buffalo. Hand statement. The Bills only leave the Eastern time zone once. That's an underrated but huge advantage. We travel the second least across all of the NFL. We have Barrow coming in and saying a great schedule. It's one of the most perfectly crafted schedules I have seen from this team, and it has given me sky-high confidence. Statement. Can't wait for the season to begin. Definitely trying to go to the last home opener, my first at HMS, and trying to go to Thursday night versus the Finns. Go Bills. Hey, man, listen, I would absolutely love if you were able to make it work. Again, we have all of those deposits linked right at the top of the page. It is linked at the top of the chat. Say, for example, you're interested in going to this, folks, certainly make your deposit to lock in your spot, and more details will obviously come once we receive them. All right, let's talk about it. Craig, why would the roundtable guys want to go to Buffalo to see a blowout? Dude, you know what? I asked myself that exact same question, but it sounds like they are just gluttons for punishment. Question. What is the link to submit payment? And what if I have a problem getting transportation to Buffalo from New Jersey? So I would do a solid amount of time in doing research on transportation, right? Because there is a no refund policy. So the only way that y'all end up getting refunds is if, of course, say, for example, that we cancel the event entirely for some reason. That would be the only way that refunds would go, right? Last year during the Jets game, somebody couldn't go last minute, and what they did is they ultimately ended up selling that said ticket to somebody else so that they could at least, I'm pretty sure that guy turned a profit too. That would just be it. So make sure you have all of your transportation and everything else aligned and ready to go. Would definitely make that. We're going to have to see. We have Hector. Hi, Dan. Listening from Providence, Rhode Island, and I can't wait for the season to start. Let's go, Buffalo Bills. Hector, what's going on, man? Hope you were enjoying your Thursday, my friend. Me too, man. Me too. Once it gets into schedule release, like that's when it starts to hit me. Like this, it's a brand new season. Let's make it happen. I've never been to a Bills game before. This would be my first time. I mean, hey, man, listen, I would love to share your first experience with everybody. Say that it's hard for you to decide a game. Just pick the better quarterback, right? I realistically see us losing 4, which could still get us the 1 seed. Baltimore, Kansas City, Cincinnati, and Philadelphia are the 4 I see us possibly losing. So I see that, Jesse, right? So one thing I caution you against is I feel like that's always something people do when they do like record predictions and stuff. I never buy into the Buffalo Bills losing to all of the best teams on the schedule ever, right? Like I used to do it, but then each and every single year, this team proves me wrong, right? Like last year, I'm sure that we could probably end up looking at the Buffalo Bills schedule, and I guarantee you this is what happened, right? We looked at the Detroit Lions game and we said, oh, there is no way we're winning this one. And we ultimately end up doing it. I could see us losing to all 4, or losing to one of the 4 or one of those games. But as far as automatically looking at our schedule and just saying, oh, yeah, so with any team that's vaguely a playoff team, like we're probably going to lose, I typically don't buy into that because this team is very, very good. Hey, Dan, I think you guys got the wrong date for week 3 in Buffalo game, and the game is the 18th, and the website says the 17th. That is great. Thank you so much. I will go on ahead and I will tell Richie to make it happen. All right. But yes, make no mistake. It is indeed the 18th, Thursday, September 18th for the Thursday night game. I will talk to Richie to update that. Besides health and home game, what's our advantage do we have against Baltimore playing week 1? So you said health and a home game. So I feel like those are the 2 biggest advantages, Falco, right? Because last year when you compare the 2 matchups, what were we missing? So the both of our linebackers, we were missing a corner, and then Khalil Shakir ultimately ended up going down with an ankle injury, I believe, like during the first quarter as well. And like we still had a rookie Keon Coleman as well. So I think with an advantage on top of that, I do think that this defensive line, even from the rookie contributors and even with Joey Bosa, I think that we ultimately ended up getting significantly better when it comes into run defense as well, right? Especially out on the edge. Bosa is an animal when it comes into run defense. He also gets to the QB, which is certainly ideal. And so is Greg Rousseau, right? Like he's solid against the run right on the outside. So I also think that having Josh Palmer, like one more weapon right on the outside, having the speed with Elijah Moore, I just feel a hell of a lot more confident, right? I do. Dan, F that. Let's go to the Patriots, Bills, and Buffalo. Oh, man, listen. I'll tell you what, man, that would have been ideal, but that game on Thursday night, week 3, is what works best for all the guys' schedules. But hey, listen, I totally get it. What advantage do we have playing Baltimore? Already got that one. Be good, do good. God bless. Go Bills. Absolutely, Mike. Absolutely, man. I know it's most likely not going to happen, but if we had the chance to still get Trey Hendrickson, would you pull the trigger on that? So would I, for sure. But like, will the front office of the Buffalo Bills do it? That is something I feel like you would need to convince me of, right? I think Brandon Beane is pretty much good when it comes into any further transactions, maybe outside of a couple of camp bodies here and there. But so would I welcome it? For sure. Like, why would I say no to somebody that was the sack leader? But I just don't think that Brandon Beane's going to do it. And trust me, I would be celebrating louder than anybody on the internet say that it did. Yeah, and so I thought the same thing about Detroit last year too. Point taken. Yeah, for sure, man. It's so look, this team has made the playoffs like 6 years in a row, and this team at the exact same time has had the second highest win percentage, only next to the Kansas City Chiefs, for the past 5 years, right? So that's why, like, So I get it. So when you see good matchups, like right on our schedule, but let's not sleep on the Buffalo Bills, right? Because I'm sitting here looking at every single team and say, for example, that we're nervous about Baltimore, they should be nervous about us too, right? So we sent them home in the playoffs last year. And with anybody saying that they're not nervous about the Buffalo Bills is lying to you. Cincinnati, they are just as nervous as we are. And they should be more nervous because their team hasn't made the playoffs in 2+ years. And so their defense is absolutely garbage. And we have the MVP going up against them with a entirely different team. It is still like been crazy to me. So how people hyper focus on the ghost of the Cincinnati Bengals, right? Because that team that everyone always says, oh, well, remember, Dan, like they sent us home in the playoffs back in 2022 or 2021. Okay. Well, do me a favor and pull up their roster and pull up our roster. What are the key differences between both of those things from this year to 2021? What are the key differences from here and there, right? Two completely different teams. Two completely different teams. So I think Cincinnati should be concerned about us as well. Same thing with Kansas City. So we always play them close. They're in Buffalo. So they don't do well against us in Buffalo during the regular season. So I feel like all of the arguments of us being like, oh my God, I'm nervous about this team. I could argue that all of those teams should be nervous about us. Maybe with the exception of Philly. Maybe with the exception of Philly. Although that I think that we would at least cause them some sort of discomfort going into the game. Statement. And the only team I see us losing to straight up is the Eagles. Jets will be because we got the 1 seed and maybe game 2 against Patriots. They surprise us, but 15-2 at best, 14-3 at worst, in my opinion. And look, guys, it's not delusional at all. Never let anybody tell you that a 15-2 prediction or a 14-3 prediction is delusional. How is it delusional? When your team literally won 13 games the year before with a roster that was quite frankly not talented. So right on paper. So if you tell somebody like, yeah, I see the Bills going 14-3 and 15-2, it's okay if people disagree with you. But if anybody has the audacity to look you in the eye and say, nah, like you're totally delusional, like you'll be like, yeah, really? So this Buffalo Bills team that has gotten better during the offseason and free agency and in the draft is not going to win one more game than they did last year with the 5th easiest schedule rate in the NFL is delusional. Miss me with that. Miss me with that, bro. Like, don't allow anyone to say that you're delusional for predicting a 14-3 or a 15-2 record, because that is not delusional. I can promise you that. Hey, Dan, thanks for always providing Bills news. I am at work, but if you did answer that, do you think about the Bills Ravens early? What's going on, man? Hope you were enjoying your Thursday at work, my friend. I'm glad that you're using me as some white noise while you get your day-to-day done, man. So the Bills and the Ravens, man, I really like it because number one, we're at home. And number two, like they are literally getting a full force, full strength Buffalo Bills team. And we're getting the exact same thing in Baltimore. However, I think with those two advantages of number one, we have the home field advantage in which we were undefeated last year. And this time we're not going in there like hobbling on one leg, particularly on the defensive side of the football, have more offensive weapons. And with Josh Allen's not going to be playing the game with a broken hand. And so I feel very good about it. I do. But of course, let's go ahead and see how training camp goes. Let's hope that both teams stay healthy during this training camp period and things will be good. Dan, and do you see a back-to-back MVP season for 17? So to be honest with you, man, I would trade an MVP for a Super Bowl any day of the week, right? So this year, I'm not so much concerned about Josh winning the MVP. I'm way more concerned about us actually raising a Lombardi. But so I feel like he'll be in the conversation, like zero questions asked there. Eagles versus Bills, week 17 may be a waste. What makes you say that, Darren? Who do you think will get Trey? Go Bills from South Florida. Chicago. So Chicago is likely. I'm trying to think of another team that might put their hat in the ring. Um, Chicago, the Washington Commanders could potentially be in the running. I'm trying to think of NFC teams, and that would be interested. Um, yeah, I'm thinking Chicago and Washington are probably the two best suitors, especially when it comes into finances and need. But that's my take on Trey Hendrickson. Dan, we will beat the Eagles, man. I hope so. I hope so, man. Wouldn't that be ideal? What do you think the chances of the Bills running the table and going 17-0, Bill 7-1-6? So I'm never going to predict an undefeated season. It's very hard to go undefeated in the NFL because there's so many factors that go into an NFL season, right? Like, I hope that this doesn't happen, but like we need to think about it realistically. There's probably going to be a couple of games where we have some key injuries and hopefully not season ending or significant, but there's going to be times where we are going to be short at a specific position group and our depth really just can't carry the load. And say that a quality quarterback can take advantage of some of those injuries out on the field. Maybe we get caught sleeping, right? Or maybe it's just not our day. And so it happens. So I'm not going to go 17-0, but I feel very confident about 14-3. I feel very confident about 14-3, and I feel equally as confident with the 1 seed in the playoffs, which in my opinion is the best way for us to actually win a Super Bowl is to get that number 1 seed. I think that we can get it done. 16-1, only losing to the Eagles, Brian Lucy. So let me tell you what, man, I am a little superstitious. I've heard that a 16-1 or a 1-loss team in the regular season has never won a Super Bowl before. But screw it, man. Screw it. I'd be fine with that. We have DeBlazer 10. And do you think we will split a game with the Pats? Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. I do. For some reason, like that team is just always super annoying to play. And so I think one of our losses is going to be against New England in New England. I think. But if not, please, I'm happy with it. Dan, and did you see the Chargers schedule release video and the NFL made the Colts delete theirs because they put in video Tyreek getting locked up by a cop? Yes, and I lost all respect for their social media team. Stand on business. That was a funny joke. That was a funny joke, man. And so America used to be able to make jokes. Shame on the Colts. Look at that. Both teams may have nothing to play for. Yeah, true. How much better do you think this team is versus last year? And the East Side Tough Buff living in Central Florida. Let's go live. What's going on, man? How are you? So I think one of our biggest issues last year for Buffalo was quality of depth. And I'm sorry if you've heard this analogy before. In fact, I'm pretty sure the vast majority of you have heard this analogy. But how I looked at our depth, like second string players across a lot of our defense, think that our starter first in the depth chart was like a 90 overall in Madden. But then our second person was at like a 56, like right in Madden. A significant drop off in talent from our first string and second string. This year, I think Buffalo did a wonderful job at being able to close that gap, right? Where there may be a couple of games where we are without a starter, right? Like maybe Benford misses a game or two, maybe Bernard misses a game or two, or maybe one of our safeties misses a game or two. Now I feel a hell of a lot more confident that our depth is better than our depth last year, specifically right within the secondary, which I think we got cooked last year in the AFC Championship because of that fact. So I think I'm going to have to give ourselves a giant check mark as far as depth, solid insurance policies. I feel like with everything else, it's just going to come down to execution, like really on paper. So I can sit here and give you as many speculations as possible. But so as far as improving depth, yes, we have gotten significantly better. As far as finding pieces of our offense on paper that make it even better, so adding an Elijah Moore who runs that 4-3-5 that all of us wanted. So adding a route runner like Josh Palmer, who is basically a younger Amari Cooper, right? As far as skill set. And of course, we need to see how that translates out into the field for sure. Same thing that, like, we're welcoming back the exact same offensive line that we've had for the past 2 years, a top 3 unit in run blocking and pass protection. Yeah, dude. Dude, yeah, man, most definitely. I think that we have gotten significantly better from last year. Dan, with Kansas City having stiffer competition in the West, who do you see as our main competitor for the 1 seed, and who do you see as the 2nd seed? That's a great question, Errol. Why, you might ask? Because half of the reason why I think Buffalo gets the 1 seed isn't just because of the schedule. So I look at the Chiefs and the Ravens, who typically end up getting that 1 seed, right? And it all depends on who else they are playing. So the entire AFC North is playing each other first off, and you know that the AFC North beats each other up, right? Like, several teams split all across the board. And then with the AFC North, they are also playing the NFC North. So they have to play the Lions, the Vikings, Packers, Bears, who are probably going to be pretty good this year. And then I look at the AFC West. So the Kansas City Chiefs broke records by winning the most consecutive 1-score games. Sure, you can go on ahead and say that's just good coaching. But there was a lot of luck into that, folks. Like, there was a lot of luck that went into the Kansas City Chiefs season. Like it or not, I'm not here to debate. A lot of that, winning that many consecutive 1-score games, luck is always incorporated. Then you also look at who the Chiefs have to play. So the Broncos have gotten significantly better, and same thing with the Chargers. Maybe the Raiders shock the world and go out and win a couple of games that they're not supposed to. And the AFC West also plays the NFC East. So they're playing the Commanders, Eagles. Same thing with the Dallas Cowboys as well, who laugh as much as we want, but that team's always pretty solid in the regular season as long as Dak stays healthy. So as far as quality of competition, so the Bills have lucked out tremendously. So I think when it comes into it, I think the Buffalo Bills, so 1 seed, so we are going to have about 3 more wins than what the 2nd seed is going to be. Or, nah, maybe more reasonable, 2 more wins. So then what the 2nd seed is going to be. It's going to be a pretty significant gap. And that's just based off of quality competition. So because everybody in the AFC North, and that's including the Ravens, and that's including the Kansas City Chiefs, all of them have significantly more difficult schedules than we do. Significantly. But hey, man, right now it's just speculation. We're going to have to see what happens if we go 12-5, Dan, in your own opinion. So that would probably have to be enough to win the AFC East, right? And then we'd probably be like the 3rd seed or the 2nd seed once again. I hope that that's not the case. So I think we go 15-2, and I think we pick up another receiver through either trades or pick up in free agency. I don't know, though. I'm just hoping we go out and give it our all. That's for Metal Max. Me too, brother. We have Deshaun in here. Sorry for being late, but do you think having an early bye week hurts us due to the heavy-hitting teams late in the season? So at first glance, I did. But then I looked at the fact that we have 2 Thursday night football matchups at convenient times. Wildly convenient times, my friend. When you look at the schedule right here, so yes, we have a bye week, week 7, but then you go into Thursday night football against Houston, and we don't play again until Sunday, November 30th. That is a 10-day mini bye. 10 days. Great time for us to sit back and get healthy and walk into Pittsburgh, right? And then you also end up looking at Thursday night football right in Miami. So we have another 10-day rest period right before we end up going into an absolute cakewalk of a 2-game stretch. So between New Orleans and New England. So yes, we had that early bye, but we also have 2 mini buys of 10 plus days rest, which is going to put us at an advantage, a rest advantage against those teams. So not nearly as bad as I initially thought. So I'm not necessarily upset about all of it. Let's see. So Metal Max, I know that Philly is scary, but they can also get injuries that plague their team as well. It's something that I feel like a lot of people don't think about. So did you hear that Jordan Poyer wants to retire a Buffalo Bill? Yeah, I mean, he should, dude. Like, he had a lot of his so the career highlights over here, and I would be more than happy for him to like sign a 1-day contract, or like we sign him like right in December so he could be on the practice squad or something like that. So like he could retire and hopefully get him a ring. I think that would be pretty damn true. I think that would be pretty damn good. We have prediction. Realistically, say that we get the 1 seed. Baltimore and Kansas City will play each other to play us. Yeah, for sure. It is absolutely correct. And I'm feeling it right now. And so our longest travel game comes on a short week. Oh no, we're so screwed. So longest travel game comes from a short week. Let me see what we got here. We have Tampa Bay and then Houston right after that. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. Shout out to Richie Fresh for the super chat. It has to be said, this schedule got my monkey moving hard AF. Yes, sir. Me too. And between light travel and compared to 30 others and other factors, there's zero excuse for the number 1 seed. I feel like you and I are on the exact same page, man. I really, really do. Final score between Bills versus Ravens, 32-26. We got some people up in here, and I appreciate that. Derek, hey, Dan, and where do you see our losses this season? So it's tough, right? But so the losses that stand out to me. So I think we beat Baltimore week 1. We have a fully healthy team. We're at home. And so our quarterback, and so does not have a broken hand this time. So I can see us dropping 1 to New England, which sucks to say, but they are a divisional opponent. And we're not that good against New England typically. So I could see us losing to Houston right on a short week. And I could see us potentially dropping to the Bengals, maybe. But then again, like you don't know what Bengals team is going to show up, right? And so you just don't know. But so I see that. Yeah. Yeah, I think that. And don't sleep on the Carolina Panthers either. Yes, I understand that McDermott is undefeated after a bye and stuff like that, but don't sleep on the Panthers. Final score is Bills and the Ravens. Look at that. And Allen deserves a ring. Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? When will you find out the details of the Thursday night package? Field access would be sweet. Go Bills. So I'll tell you what, man, right now, like we are only accepting deposits to secure spots. And I am going to do whatever I possibly can to make sure that we get as many benefits as possible. And so I really am. Like maybe I'm spoiled with other roundtable events because a lot of teams end up giving you so many perks. So we're actually considering doing an LA Rams and San Francisco 49ers event for our NFC West roundtable this year too. And LA, like they give you the craziest benefits, right? Like a stadium tour, field access, like crazy stuff. Like they roll out the red carpet, say that you buy more than like 20 plus tickets. It's crazy. I'm just hoping that Buffalo can sweeten the pot. But I will go on ahead and roll out some details for you as well. But again, guys, if, for example, that you want to take advantage of all of this, okay? Right now, we just ended up announcing our schedule for the AFC East roundtable event, and we are coming to Buffalo week 3, Bills versus Dolphins, Thursday Night Football. This ticket is going to include a game ticket. It is also going to include a tailgate party, a live show, and hopefully some additional benefits. I don't have all the details because I'm still negotiating right now with the team. But say, for example, you want to secure your spot, go to the link that's at the top of my chat right now and go on ahead and reserve your ticket. Okay. It is just $100 for a deposit. And then we will ultimately end up sending out the remaining balance once we end up figuring out exactly how much all of this is going to cost, since we are fronting the expenses. So if, for example, you are into it, folks, reserve your spot for the Bills Dolphins Thursday Night Football matchup. Link is on top. It's only $100 to reserve your spot, and we can go there. And so do you think Josh Allen will have 5,000 yards this season? I mean, dude, you know what, man? As long as it's enough for us to win, sure. Let's get it done. And to be honest, I might wait till next year for the Buffalo event. That's completely fine, my friend. It's completely fine. We have Derek. Hey, Dan, and this is the year you see Josh Allen has more than 4,500 yards and 40 touchdowns this year. I would love to see it. Would love to see it. But really, at the end of the day, I just want him to do enough to win and win us a damn Super Bowl. Bills will be closer to 12-5 than 15-2. It's kind of tough to say that. And like, I can definitely respect the fact that like you can disagree with me, but like, as long as you're not calling people delusional. So for saying that 15-2 is unrealistic. So for a couple of different reasons, right? Like last year, we won 13 games with the roster that we had, with shit depth, with no opportunity of getting to the quarterback, a semi like risky issue of stopping the run. And so a quarterback with a broken hand for half of the season and with a much more difficult schedule. So compared to this year, so when first off, we have addressed all of our depth issues, at least on paper, have improved on paper our ability to get to the quarterback. We have improved our wide receiver room. We had a solid draft with traits that should translate out on the field. It's kind of hard for me to believe that this Buffalo Bills team is going to regress. So with a much better roster and an easier schedule. So that's why I'm not necessarily buying into that, right? I'm not necessarily buying into it. What team do you think is going to give us the big upset loss? It's funny, dude, because last year, like when I looked at our schedule, like we didn't have one of those, right? So with all of the games Buffalo played last year, so with all the games we ended up losing, so with those games, we're not like, okay, we had no business losing those games, right? So Houston and Baltimore, so we're solid teams. And so I'm not counting that Patriots loss because we had Mitchie Biscuits out there as QB1, right? I feel like we just didn't have one of those last year, right? So I'm not even going to be married to the concept that that's going to happen again this year. But say, for example, so like one team I see on the schedule that like we could drop that we shouldn't drop against, I feel like Tampa Bay is probably the number one. Yeah, I'd say the Bucks is probably the most realistic as far as games that I think on paper we should win because, and so their defense has quite a bit of question marks. But yeah, I'd say Tampa maybe. You have. So do you think that we will have a bad loss this season? I don't know. It's tough to say. Question, last one. Will you be doing anything for home opener in your own or on your own? I'm definitely trying to search for tickets now and to go with a friend. It's Dolo. Go Bills. So I don't believe that I'm going to be going to the home opener. But I am planning on going to the AFC East event on Thursday night. And then I'm probably going to go to one more home game. And I'm definitely going to the Bills-Panthers game because that's not a bad drive for me. And I might be going to Bills-Atlanta as well. In Hotlanta, perhaps. And the Dolphins aren't worth spending money on. Yeah, for sure. So I got a feeling Tampa Bay is a team we could lose to. Yeah, for sure. Dan, 15-2 is very possible. And remember, we had a throwaway game against New England last year. We lost to Joe Milton against our third strings. We could have won 14 games last year. For sure. It's tough for me to buy into the fact, like barring any sort of significant injury, like say that injuries happen, then sure. But say that we stay relatively healthy. It's just hard for me to accept that a team that has gotten better and we have a much easier schedule this year, like no gauntlet, like have all of our hard opponents at home. It's hard for me to say that this team is going to regress. It's very hard for me to say that. But again, I feel like with anything could happen. All right. So folks, that's going to have to do it for another edition of the Don Mafia Report. Please do me a favor, guys. Smash that like button if you haven't had an opportunity of doing so. It's already. Subscribe to the channel and turn on bell notifications. I may be live a little later this afternoon for some more topics we could discuss. If not, of course, you will see me tomorrow. Thank you so much. Love each and every single one of you. Y'all are the reason why I get to do this for a living. It's the best job on the face of the planet. Just talking ball with my friends online. Thank you so much. And I will see you a bit later today, especially for Fourth and Forever on the Roundtable Sports Network. Deuces.